How's it going, folks? Bromo18 here, coming back to you with episode 15 of our Rangers Master League series. And what an episode I have in store for you. It is yet again another Old Firm derby, back-to-back episodes featuring Rangers versus Celtic. But this time it is not a cup final, it is essentially a title decider. Now, one thing to mention before we get into it, and that is that today's episode is actually a post-commentary. And unfortunately, the reason being is that I've recorded the gameplay and I recorded my commentary at the same time, did a live com, and I've just come back to edit it and listen to the audio, and I can only assume that I must have set the wrong microphone to record it, perhaps my integrated computer microphone, and I've gone back to listen to it, and wow, it sounds terrible. I mean, literally, it is disgusting. I can't bear it. I don't think any of you guys will be able to bear it either. So, unfortunately, we've got to go post-com, and it's so frustrating because, in particular, it was a really good recording. I'm not going to lie, it was a really good live com. I went the full episode without raging. That's not a spoiler for the result, by the way, because even when bad things happen, and they did happen, I remained calm. I was very calm, very composed, and it went really well. And now I've got to do this, so it's unfortunate, it's very frustrating, but I just wanted to let you guys know there was a legitimate reason for it, and that's why we have no live reactions in today's episode. But for now, you'll see that I have covered the league table to prevent any spoilers, and thank you to the people in the comment section that gave me that tip. Very useful. I will do this from now on, because the league has now been split, and you know that I've mentioned it previously, that if you didn't know, the league table gets split in half and you play the other 5 teams in your half once more. Obviously we're in the top half, so we had the 5 games. We've played one on top of the Dundee game that we played, and now it is time to show you how those games went. So we start with the game against Dundee, and Ovi Ajaria was the one who got himself onto the score sheet first. Morelos gets the ball nicked off, but he continued his run, slots past the goalkeeper to make it 1-0. That was then followed by one Ademola Lookman getting onto the score sheet. Morelos' ball sends through Lookman, his pace is too much for the Dundee defenders, and the game finishes 2-0. And then we move on to the first game of the league split, and it was against Kilmarnock. It starts off with Morelos doing his typical give and go, and he gets himself onto the score sheet. Then we have a goal of the season contender. Look at this one-touch passing. Magnificent. We weren't finished there. El Buffalo finds himself bagging a brace with this tight finish. And then the scoring was rounded off with once again another Ademola Lookman goal. A lovely pass here to find his run through, and he slots it past the goalkeeper to finish it as 4-0. So now I can show you guys the league table, and it left things standing like this. Celtic won both of their games in the meantime, which meant the gap was still 5 points. However, with us playing them in this episode, we had the chance to narrow it to 2. And with it narrowed to 2, we still need them to slip up along the way, but it gave us a much better chance. If we draw today's game, then the chances are it probably would have been done. Celtic losing 2 is highly unlikely in 3 games, and then if we'd have lost in today's game, then the season is done pretty much, because there's no way with us winning 3 games as well as Celtic losing all 3 remaining games was going to happen. So essentially we had to win today's game, so the pressure was on. Bearing that in mind, this was the team sheet that I opted to go with, and well, you'll see a slight change, and that is Morelos actually dropped off into the number 10 role, more of an attacking midfielder, and Lafferty up top. So originally, at instant look, you guys might be thinking, well, what on earth are you doing? That is just makeshift. You're trying to fit both of them into a scheme, and it doesn't work. Well, the thinking behind this was essentially, obviously, we wanted to get Lafferty in as well, because he just shows up. He just every Old Firm game, pretty much, as far as I can remember, he scored. In these big games, he seems to show up. Whereas Morelos, obviously, we need him in the side. So, but we wanted to keep this 4-3-3 formation. And the reason why Morelos is in this position is that during games, Morelos is very much, we give the ball to him. He holds it up really well, and then he's able to bring other players into the game. He offloads it to wingers on the side that are overlapping, etc. He can hold defenders off. So essentially, he was fairly well suited to being in this attacking midfielder role. And so I thought it was actually something that could work out quite well. He's got the technical ability to play that sort of role, and also he could arrive from deep when we're crossing the ball in, and gives us that other outlet. And with us giving it to him, being in that number 10 role, he'd then have Lafferty in front of him, so it would give us an extra option. So I felt it was worth trying. I felt that he would be suited to this position, and it was just worth a go because the 4-4-2 was just leaving us a bit too exposed at the back, whereas this could enable us to play both Lafferty and Morelos while still being fairly compact, at least in the middle. Elsewhere though, the team was pretty standard, as you can see here. That's pretty much the same go-to lineup that we've gone with all game. Conditioning wise, they were all top notch apart from Katic. Despite the mistake he made in the previous episode, you remember him not letting it go out for throwing, and thanks for the tips by the way guys. I've now learned RB and RT using an Xbox controller, by the way, is super cancel, so I'll be able to use that in the future. But apart from that mistake, he's been playing very well indeed. So it was strange to see that he was on a downwards arrow. Meanwhile, looking at the Celtic team, and you'll have noticed probably De Vries, or De Vries, I probably butchered that name, I still can't get it right. I'm going with De Vries. Even he was dropped now, and Scott Bain has actually got the call up. Craig Gordon just must be so out of favour because he just can't get a game. It's pretty insane. Meanwhile, I'm still going with this 3-5-2. Tierney and Arnold just cannot get a look in, and you know, who knows why, but they're going with it, and hopefully it would play into our favour. Meanwhile, I'd just like to show you the fixtures that we had set with the league split. This was actually what it looked like. We started after this game, we have Hibs, then we had Aberdeen, and then Hearts to round off the season. And the plan before this Celtic game was, if we won the Celtic game and narrowed the gap down to 2 points, then we would actually do an end of season special. And we'll show all 3 games on top of probably our goal of the season competition. So obviously that would be a long one, but it is an end of season finale special. On the other hand, if we lost, we'll do the Hearts game as the last game of the season to round it off, and also the goal of the season competition. So that was all dependent really on if we could win today. So let's find out. So it started off in the worst possible way. 6 minutes in, and Dembele manages to get away from Katic to make it 1-0. We hadn't even touched the ball yet. I'm not going to lie, we literally hadn't touched the ball and Celtic had scored. This time, it wasn't down to the defenders themselves. It was actually my fault, my responsibility. I took control of Katic, who in the replay you'll see was marking Dembele. Obviously Dembele turned to the left. I anticipated a turn but guessed the wrong way. You'll have a look here as the ball is played into him now. I guess that he's going to turn to Katic's right. He turns to Katic's left, and that obviously gives him a free shot on goal. Totally my fault. Couldn't blame the AI defending that time. Just needed to improve on that. So we're yet to have a shot, and finally we get a free kick. I change the tactics to dash, as I always do. Arfield whips the ball in, and who else pops up but that man Kyle Lafferty with a lovely controlled finish on the volley. First shot of the game, and Lafferty comes up big for us. If we have a look again, a brilliant ball from Arfield. 3 or 4 of our men actually get away from their man markers, Lafferty included, and thankfully it falls to him and he's able to just guide it in to the bottom left hand corner with a delicious volley. Koulibaly drives through the space in the centre here, but then does that. Arfield gives the ball to Lafferty here, holds the ball up well, turns, goes for goal, but Scott Bain manages to parry it away. Here's another example of the referees playing more stoppage time than is actually allowed. 0 minutes added, but for some reason we are past the 46-minute mark. This time it was actually in our favour, which made a nice change, and it would have been even sweeter if we could have put that away. It's a great save by Bain, it's parried out for the corner, and finally the ref blows up for half time. So the second half begins and we get off to a flyer. Lookman loops this ball over to Morelos, who slots through Kyle Lafferty, and it is an exquisite finish into the bottom left hand corner. The keeper can't get near to it, and well, as we keep saying, he just keeps showing up in these big games, not just the Old Firm games, any game that has more meaning to it than a regular competitive game. Added incentives, he is there to produce the goods, and well, we are going to miss him. When he retires at the end of the season, we are going to miss him, and it will be tough to replace him in these big moments. It's such a shame that he is retiring. I don't understand that. Obviously, a glitch on the game's part, perhaps a bit of a bug. Because at 30, there's just no way Kyle Lafferty is retiring. So a real shame about that. But nevertheless, we were 2-1 ahead. So the lead lasted about 2 minutes. Celtic pretty much run up the other end and score. Obviously, it's the low ball. Goldson can't quite get in front of the ball. Fairly unlucky, to be honest. Not a whole lot of blame. It's more the fact of preventing the low cross in the first place is something that we need to work on. Dembele and Kocic teaming up well, and Kocic manages to equalise for Celtic. In this instance, Morelos gets slotted through by Candace. He looks for the cutback of Lookman, doesn't quite get it, and slots it past the post in the end. Katic wins the ball back here and goes on a marauding run down the centre. Thankfully, I know better than to storm all the way into the box of him. Give it to Lafferty. Unreal turn from Candace here, and it is a brilliant finish. I was really stoked about that goal, to be honest. There was just something about the movement of Candace, that turn that he does to glide away from the defender and keep the ball in his stride. It was just something that looked so smooth about it, and it was something that you know, I haven't yet achieved that. I must have just timed it really well, perhaps, with the close control and the turn, and it just works out to our full advantage. And you'll see on the replay here now just how good it is. Obviously Katic gets away from his man, he gives it to Lafferty, and here's that turn again. There's just something about it, I can't quite explain it. It just worked out so well. Defender couldn't keep up with Candace, and well, we finally again had a lead to protect. Celtic were of course applying the pressure, and it meant that we could get breaks away like this. Fotheringham rolls it out to a free Candace. He finds Lafferty in the middle. The interchange is quick. Lookman across the face of goal, and Lafferty gets his hat-trick. What a game it was for him. Some people might call that a sweaty goal. I say, I don't care. You got to do what you got to do to get the win, and that is all that matters. Ademola Lookman, Alfredo Morelos and Kyle Lafferty all teaming up well, and that is what it produces. And well, that was it, guys. We were so resolute, so resilient in that performance, and we went on to Celtic's own turf and put 4 past them, and it was a shock, to be honest. I wasn't quite expecting it, especially after we went 1-0 down so early on, but we just responded so well. And Kyle Lafferty, a special mention to him, because he just comes up big. He just relishes these big games, these Old Firm games in particular, and he was really, of course, the star man for today's game. So that left the league table looking like this, guys. We are now only 2 points behind Celtic with 3 games to go. Yes, we do still rely on another team to beat them, as well as us winning all 3 of our games. Let's not forget that. You know, we do have to do the job ourselves, but we have given ourselves a much better chance. And for the final 3 games, it will be tense, and the race is on. So my friends, it means that for episode 16 we have a triple header to round off the season. It's going to be a long one, don't get me wrong, but It's got to be done for the season finale. On top of that, we will have the goal of the season competition, so look out for that. But we have it all to play for. Don't forget, we still have to win all 3 of our games, so each one will be just as important as the next. So with that in mind, you guys have to make sure you join me to see us round off the season, hopefully in style, and perhaps achieve a double. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, guys, at Bromo018. I'll leave a link in the description, as I will for the affiliate links. If you want to get PES 2019 and you want to get it on PC, which is what I have done, just using an Xbox controller on a side note, then head over to CD Keys. Links are in the description. You can get PES 2019 on PC for up to 42% off. It's how I got my PES, and I'm absolutely buzzing that I did. So go and check those links out. On the other note, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Hopefully you did. I apologise that it was a post-com, but hopefully we can have that sorted for the final episode of the season. And subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do so for more regular gaming content, including PES and our Glasgow Rangers Master League series. But with that in mind, guys, I'm Bromo18, and until next time.